When you think of endangered species, the ones that first come to mind are memorable ones like giant pandas or cute ones like sea otters. However, there are just as many less glamorous endangered species that still play an important role. One of these species is the Atlantic cod. Atlantic cod are currently classified as vulnerable under the threatened category according to IUCN standards of endangered species. The Atlantic cod, scientific name Gatus morhua, is an extremely historically significant species to the Americas and played a huge economic role right up to the early 1990s when overfishing made stocks of the fish crash into near non-existence. Atlantic cod are extremely popular for food industries since they have a light, flaky flesh that is high in protein, low in fat, and has omega-3 fatty acids. Thus, they've always been heavily fished. The fish in the wild functions as an apex predator, eating other fish, small crustaceans, and even fish eggs. They grow for as long as they live, usually an average of 20 years and up to 77 pounds, although really old fish have been found that have been way bigger. Their habitat follows the coastal shelf of North America, from Greenland to North Carolina, and along the coasts of Europe from the Bay of Biscay to the Barents Sea. That's the purple shading on this map. There are consequences when removing any species from a delicate food web that's evolved to balance itself without human interference. The cod's role as an apex predator in their food chain makes the effect of removing them pretty strong. When the cod is removed from the food chain, it creates a trophic cascade, where some of the lower trophic levels dramatically increase their numbers, and some dramatically decrease. From this flowchart, you can see that the cod's direct prey, small fish, crabs, and shrimp, increase dramatically when cod are removed from the chain as a predator. Then they need more food, so the level below them, zooplankton, decreases, and so on down the trophic levels, creating a trophic cascade. In order to properly assess the issue of extinction for the cod species, it's important to understand where the issue started. To accurately set proper fishing restrictions, it's crucial to look at the history of the Atlantic cod and understand how it's been historically fished. The history of cod fishing dates back to the early 1500s, when the French developed a Canadian offshore fishery located off the Grand Banks of Newfoundland. By the late 1500s, France and England were sending over 150 ships to fish for Atlantic cod off the coast of Newfoundland. If you fast forward to the 1800s, cod fishing was booming in the United States. Fishing fleets were built in the new communities of Chatham, New Bedford, Boston, Beverly, and Gloucester along the Massachusetts coast. The fishing industry was the foundation of their economies. Due to the fact that refrigeration was not available, cod were caught at sea, salted, and marketed worldwide. The traditional process of catching cod was lengthy and time-consuming, with rods and bait. In the 1800s, fish traps were invented, allowing entire schools of cod to be caught at once. This led to mass catching. In 1954, the first ships with built-in freezers were invented, which let even more fish be stored and kept fresh, up to 600 tons of fish per day. In 1968, over 800,000 tons of cod were harvested, which accounted for 40% of global catches. Due to this staggering number, by 1992, the cod population off the coast of Newfoundland and Nova Scotia plummeted to levels below 1% of original population size, leading to the official announcement in 2003 that the Atlantic cod population was in danger. So who's using all that fish? The supply chain for Atlantic cod extends between the domestic markets of North America and the international markets of Europe. The main players in each sector of the domestic and international supply chains include harvesters, processors, wholesalers, and retailers. Harvesters, more commonly known as fishermen, patrol the northwestern waters of the Atlantic Ocean in search of their prize, Atlantic cod. The fishermen then sell the cod to processors, who perform the dirty work of heading, gutting, and scaling the fish. The processed cod are then purchased by wholesalers, who buy in large quantities. These large quantities are then dispersed and sold to retailers, such as restaurants and fish markets, who desire smaller quantities of cod. It's obvious that the market for cod is strong, but without restriction, cod are in grave danger of being fished out of existence. While fishermen may disapprove of restrictions on their fishing quotas and the lowering amount of money to be earned, the alternative is considerably worse for everyone involved. The good news? Appropriate measures are being taken. The allowable fishing quota for Northwest Atlantic cod has dropped from over 15 million pounds just 2 years ago to under 1 million pounds today. So mission accomplished, right? Well, not really. You see, the Atlantic cod is only reproducing at about 3% of the rate they need to in order to sustain a healthy population. Yes, just 3%. This is a problem that has to be solved in the long run. There's really no quick fix. It may be easy to give the fishermen what they want, especially as fish continues to grow globally in demand. But the writing is on the wall. Unless the preservation efforts for the Atlantic cod continue, the Atlantic cod will be in the same company as the dodo and the black rhino, and there's no money to be made from an extinct species. We just have to keep working to preserve this unique species.